So thanks everyone for joining us tonight on this Zoom for this special Runversation. For those of you that don't know, my name is Paul Hubahib. I run the social media platforms for the Niagara Falls International Marathon. In a moment, I will introduce our guest, and if you have a question for her, just message me in the chat box, and I'll let you know when it's your turn to ask your question. When we begin, if I can ask everybody to please mute your audio so that when someone is speaking, we can have the background noise down. And once it's your turn to ask a question, then I'll let you know, and then you can just speak up and ask your question. And we'll try to give everyone an opportunity to ask a question in the time that we have. And so, in saying that, I want to introduce our guest today. She won the gold medal at the 2019 Pan Am Games in the 10,000 meters, and she was also a part of the 2016 Olympian team for Canada at the Rio Games. Back in January, she ran the Canadian record of 69 minutes. This is crazy. 69 minutes, 39 seconds at the Houston Half Marathon, which was really amazing. She holds the record, national record for the 10,000 meters with a time of 31 minutes, 41.59 seconds. She's an 18-time national team member, but most of all, she is just a fun person. So please give a warm welcome to Natasha Wodak.
Quite the interesting picks that you
Right?
chose.
But you know what I found, in honestly doing a lot of search of, the different pictures, there's not many without a smile, right? You have a smile in almost all of them. And that, it says a lot for your passion for, what you do. So that's really appreciated. So I know we briefly talked about what has life been for you, but I guess to get everyone up to date, what has life been for you back in Vancouver?
Yeah, so hello everybody, and thanks for listening. So as you know, I'm in Vancouver. I think everyone listening here is on the East Coast, yes?
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah, so about around the long weekend in May, Vancouver, we entered phase 2, so a lot of things have opened up for us over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So restaurants are, I would say 75% of them are open. Shopping is, a lot of it's open. We're allowed gatherings of 6 people in an outdoor space. So I've been able to run with people again and work out with people. So there's definitely my life has felt a sense of normalcy again, especially being able to, I've only run with a couple different people and never more than like one for an easy run, because we're obviously still trying to social distance when we're running. But it's been really nice to have friends to run with again. It's been huge game changer. I mean, we all know when we're running with people, it's a social time too. It's not just getting out to run. It's nice to be
Right.
able to chat and have
Right.
that connection. And so it's been really nice to do that with one of my best friends, Catherine Watkins. We run together 2 or 3 times a week, and I've really missed that. So that's been nice. And I was able to go out for dinner last weekend for the first time since early March, and that was also a really nice treat. Put on a pair of heels, like it just felt good to get out. Yeah, so I feel like things have, my life has gone, besides, no travel, things have been relatively normal. I've set a goal at the end of June to run a 5,000 meter time trial on the track and see if I can run the personal best.
Mhm.
So I'm full on into my training. And I said I didn't want to do that until treatment was available. Treatment has also become available. I've had physio and massage. It's been amazing. So yeah, like I hope that you guys get to start having these things happen too,
Yeah.
because it was, my body was starting to fall apart a bit, and it was really nice to, like you can only train so hard and be at the edge for so long without having some professional assistance in what I do. So it's been nice.
Are the
It's been
gyms
nice to
open?
have a purpose to my running every day, knowing what I'm doing and knowing where I'm focused.
Right.
Whether or not the race officially counts, it'll count to me, and I can carry that effort forward into my 10,000 next year, knowing I ran this 5,000 meter time, or I ran whatever it is. It's all for something, right?
Right.
So
Right. Are the gyms open there?
no, the gyms aren't open. Well, that being said, like Ride Cycle Club and like some of the different like Orange Theory Fitness, they've slowly opened back up
Mm.
with like a space in between, but like the general gyms aren't open. I heard that Steve Nash went completely under. I don't know if you guys heard that.
I
Yeah.
hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of mom and pop gyms have gone under. It's so sad. So sad.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm very, very fortunate that we have a basement downstairs that we've sort of turned into a gym. And so I have an elliptical and like all the pulleys and the weights and everything. So I don't need to really ever go to a gym again. And I would prefer not to. It's much nicer in my own gym. I don't have to share anything with anyone.
And then you can go home right away after too.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Walk up the stairs.
right? And you're done, right? So, um, today was Global Running Day, and
Hmm.
the Canada Moves event to raise money and awareness for mental health was a really, really great idea. And somebody who's really talked about past struggles with depression and anxiety, can you talk about the importance of a day like today?
Yeah, it's it's been tough because today, there was so much that was supposed to be going on, but in light of the events in the US, um, we have decided not to really post a lot about it and open the communication lines for what's going on that's so important.
Mm.
Um, but I also really believe that Global Running Day gives people positivity, and it's about being healthy and taking care of yourself. And so I think that it's important that we do recognize Global Running Day and go for that run. Um, and especially in these times, it's been very stressful. And what's going on right now is very stressful for so many people.
Right.
And having an outlet for your stress and anxiety is extremely important. And for me, that's running. So today, it's great to be able to go out there and be healthy and run. And I think a lot of people agree with that in this time when gyms are closed and they've been like, well, I want to stay fit. So people are learning to run
Hmm.
and realizing how amazing it is. And that it doesn't matter if I am a professional runner hammering out really fast workouts, you guys are getting the same feeling after you do a workout or a race. We all get that same feeling after of I set my mind to it. I accomplished it. This feels really good. And that's the same for all runners, which is really cool that we share that in the running community. And yeah, and with the mental health, I do believe, yeah, it's been therapeutic for me to go out and run on days when I'm feeling sad. It always makes me feel better. I always get in the door and feel just like a weight off my shoulders. So I'm very grateful that I've had running and I've been healthy and I can continue to do it and love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Amar, you had a question?
Yes, I just wanted to know how you stay motivated in your training. Has anything changed in your training, something new that you haven't done before?
It's actually a really good question because a lot of the runners that we've talked to really say during this time of COVID, they've lost their motivation to run. They've lost their motivation to train. So, how do you, like, what would you suggest? How do we keep motivated?
Yeah, 100%. I get asked that question more than any other question right now. That and nutrition. Um, and honestly, when this all first started in March, I was, pretty down and out. Like when everything got canceled and the Olympics got postponed, I was like, I took some time to just run easy when I felt like it, run hard when I felt like it. But then I realized that every time I ran, I felt better. And I also realized when I put little mini goals in place for myself, I felt a sense of purpose and it was easier to get out the door and it was easier to stay motivated. So um, every 3 or 4 weeks, my coach put in some sort of a race effort. Um, even though I was still only training at 75%, she wanted me to go out and just do it anyways and have fun with it. And so I did a 5K road race. I did a half marathon, a virtual half marathon. I did a virtual 10K, and none of it was, like anywhere close to super fast. But for me, it was, okay, so I'm training for a half marathon, I'm going to do these workouts. And I'm training for this, I'm going to do these workouts. And for me, that was very, very helpful. And then in the beginning of May, we decided that I was going to run. I said to Lynn, I want to run a fast 5,000. And there's never been a time in the last 5 years where I've been able to concentrate this time of the year on a 5,000. Always been about the 10,000. So my 5,000 time is much slower than I think it can be. So she said, okay, let's do it. And she set up a plan. And so I'm doing training I've never done before. And it's really fun. And I'm really excited to try these new workouts and see what'll happen. I mean, I'm 38, I've done most things. So all of a sudden when I'm doing these new training and I'm doing, 4 times 100 meters full out at the end of workouts, I'm like, what? I finished yesterday. I'm like, what am I doing? This feels so strange. But it's really fun to do new things and see. Now's the time to play around with your training.
Right.
See if there's certain workouts that you really like and how you benefit from them. And, I've been doing different strength training stuff and seeing what I like and what I don't like. I've really been enjoying Pilates, so I've been incorporating that. And so I think that too has kept me motivated. Like I'll look online and I'll say, I want to do this, Zoom class. I want this Zoom class. And so that has, really kept me going. And also the number one thing for me is I love running, and I find so much joy in it. And I live in Vancouver where the weather's been pretty nice. So, I mean, there's that. Yeah.
I think you mentioned before too that your first race was with your dad when you were 8 years old. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did it like a road race. It was like a 2K with my dad. I was young, I think grade 3 or 4 maybe.
Yeah, but that's where it started, right? The whole passion for it, right? Good.
Yeah.
Diane, you had a question?
Yeah. So last week, Natasha, we had Lanny on, and she talked about body work as well. What extent of body work do you have done that keeps you lubricated? And how does it change kind of when you're in season and off season?
Great questions.
Good, Diane.
I mean, there's never really a big off season for me. I usually race throughout the year. So, I'm getting physio or massage usually every second week. So, but that being said, if there's something going on in my body that's not feeling right, I will immediately go and see my physio, and I will see her usually every 3 to 4 days until things are good. But generally I would have massage every second week, just to sort of general maintenance, like help release the really tight muscles. And some of that can be done at home. Generally if you really have put the effort in, you can foam roll, you can get the hypervolt, get your partner to massage your feet, massage your own feet. I massage my own feet. I do every night. Like I have arthritis in my toes. And so I just sit on the couch and I manipulate my toes and get into my arches. And it feels it's easy to do. Roll your feet out, things like that. You can just massage your own calves while you're sitting there watching the TV. You can there's all sorts of tools you can buy online, the sidekick scraper. And it's just how motivated are you to do that yourself? Because I know that I'm pretty lazy when it comes to, I'll be honest, like self-care. And I'd rather go and spend the money and get a massage for an hour than do it myself. So I guess it just depends. But yeah, I'm pretty good at staying on top of things. And I'm also very fortunate that my partner's an orthopedic surgeon that specializes in lower extremity. So he takes very good care of me and is able to assess me. Like yesterday, I finished a workout, my back was really hurting. And normally I would freak out about something like that. And he's just like, touches me, he's like, you're fine. You just did something weights yesterday. Take some ibuprofen. And I'm like, okay. And anyways, I was fine today. I was totally fine. So generally most of the things that I think are like a big deal, he's just like, no, you're fine. But sometimes if there is an issue, he'll be like, don't run for 3 days, and I'll listen to him 100%. And so I'm very, very fortunate that I have him in my corner and to help me out. And and that I have one of the best physios in Canada here in Vancouver, Mary Lou LeMay. She's our Olympic physiotherapist on our team, and she lives down, and her clinic is down the street. So I'm very, very lucky to have her in my corner.
Can I kind of ask you a second part to that question?
Of course.
So as amateurs that are always going to the Olympics in our minds, what would you recommend we do for warm-ups, cool downs? Because I think a lot of us, myself included, just want to jump into the run, you know?
Yeah. Are you talking about like just like an easy run or a workout?
A running workout?
You like intervals, or are you just going for a run?
Both.
Okay. Well, if I'm just going for an easy run, I don't warm up or warm down because I'm just running easy. But I'll do like 5 minutes of activation drills, which is just sort of like some what's it called, downward dog against my car, because I'm usually driving to where I am. I'll do some squats, some single leg squats. I have some band work that I do. Literally takes me less than 5 minutes just to get my hips and my glutes activated and to open up my chest. And that's what I do before an easy run. That's it. But before a workout, I do a full 20-minute jog, and then I spend 20 minutes doing dynamic drills and strides.
Good.
Which everyone can do. I mean, it's not just for elites. Like the mile to marathon crew goes out and they'll do the whole warm up with all the drills and strides together as a group.
Right.
Out on the track, 100 of them. It's pretty cool to see. But everyone, if you're going to do a high intensity workout, you need to be warmed up properly. So for sure.
Good. Dan, did you have another follow-up there?
So Natasha, this is my husband, Henry, and co-director of the Niagara Falls Marathon. He's poking me to ask you questions, but I said, I'll just move the video.
Hi.
Hi,
I'm
how are
good.
you?
Thank you.
Good. First question is, I really want to know what your favorite distance to run is.
Well, I mean, if I could be a 1,500-meter runner, I would, but so I'm going to go with 10K on the road. I really enjoy a nice, fast 10K down the road. I've had to pick. Yeah.
Okay, 10K.
Definitely not a 10,000 on the track. It's a totally different ballgame. Same distance, very different experience. Yeah.
Okay, and then a follow-up question, because I love to run on trails. Do you ever run on trails?
Well, it depends what kind of trails are you talking about.
Oh, I guess.
Like single track trails or like nice, well-groomed trails?
No, single track.
No, I avoid at all costs. It's too high risk for me. I've sprained both my ankles once in the last 10 years on each side. I just can't afford to take the chance of injuring myself. But I mean, I'm all for people that want to get out there and go to those single track trails. Good on you. Be careful. Be careful.
What would you say are your top 3 little things that you do to prevent injury?
I think the number one thing that I do is I take a rest day every Friday. And I think a lot of people get in the mentality that they just want to run more, and that means not taking the day off. Right. And I'm very few runners at my level take a day off every week, but it works for me, and I know my body, and you have to do what works for you. And so sometimes I don't want to take Friday off. I'm like, I'm fine, Lynn. And she's like, yeah, let's stay that way. Right. And I'm like, okay. So I do that. I take that rest day. That's very important. I think also too is having balance in my life and not analyzing every single workout and every single race and every single like, oh my God, like I had a twinge in my shoulder and freaking out about it. Like the more anxiety you have in your running, you know, you're going to be high strung, you're going to be tight, you're more likely to get injured. I think too, also another thing that is important to note with injuries is like making sure that you're the right body weight. And I think a lot of women in elite running they're running so hard all year long.
Right.
They're not gaining the weight that they need to stay healthy all year round.
Right.
And so we do training like this. So I will peak maybe once or twice a year, where I'll drop down to what we consider race weight, which is quite lean. And I will immediately gain 5 to 6 pounds within the next 2 to 3 weeks after that, if not more. And that's the weight I generally will train at for quite a long period of time,
Right.
to help me avoid injuries when I'm at a lower weight. So I think those are little things too, to just be aware if you're slipping. Like for me, when you're training at such a high intensity and things, you need to be aware of your weight and make sure you're not too low and things like that. And I know a lot of people always talk about, like being too heavy, but it's also a thing about, like get wrapped up in things. And even if you're eating properly and doing everything right, you need to make an extra effort to eat more to make sure that you have that body fat to keep you from getting injured. And I find that if I don't do that, I will get injured. And I see it all the time when women don't allow themselves to come back up after the high intensity training, they'll get injured. So for me, those are some little things that I do. And I think also just, if something does come up, taking the time to rest. My partner just got home and in the backyard. Okay. Usually one enters from the front door. I don't know. So
I think he's going to surprise you, maybe.
Yeah. I think just, like don't be an idiot, and like take care of something small before it becomes something big. And don't be afraid to take 3 days off or 4 days off.
Right.
In the big picture, it's way better than taking 6. And I have been guilty of, in the past, of not taking time off when I've needed to, and it's come back to haunt me. So these are just things that I've learned through time. But yeah, taking care of yourself if you're feeling pain, to take the time off, or just cross train, like pool run, swim, bike, elliptical. I mean, if you're doing intervals on any of those mechanisms, you're gonna keep your fitness level up, and when you're running again, you'll be fine. You won't miss much. So,
right.
Like Dana Pidorowski bikes like a maniac all the time, and she had a calf injury, and she biked for like 2 weeks straight. And when she started running, she was barely missed a beat in her workouts for running.
She's pretty fast too. So.
Yeah. But
So
you have to be able to get on that like elliptical or on that bike and really get your heart rate up and do those intervals, because that's really important. It's not like reading your book on the sit back bike. That's not the same.
And Nelson, you had a question?
Yeah, hi. So, with this whole COVID-19 lockdown, I just find like people's routines and schedules have all gone out of whack, people's diet, even sleep patterns.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, you mentioned how Fridays are your like days off. Do you have any other like routine or regimen that is like a backbone that you just, continue to do and do not change? And that could be like an exercise or even like a special meal or diet that, no matter what, you stick to it.
Drinking wine?
Yeah. I like it.
You know what? Fridays has actually been one of the hardest days of the week, because I had a routine, I volunteered in the morning at the kilter, and then I would go to hot yoga, and then I would have coffee with my friend after, and I'd usually do a grocery shop. I'd be home by 4, and that was great. That was my Friday, almost every Friday. And now I have literally nothing to do. I can't do the yoga. I can't volunteer at the shelter. I'm like, all I want to do is go and run or go and do something. So it's been really hard for me. So now I'm baking a lot more. And so that's been, with the whole diet thing, I've really had to give away a lot of my baking because I'm going nuts eating it all, which is good. There's not really, during COVID, I mean, there's nothing I can think of in particular that I have. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
That was weird. Sorry. I think for the most part, like my my diet has generally stayed the same. Like my routine of breakfast and my routine of going for a run after breakfast has been almost the same every day. I'm just sleeping later. I think like if most people I've talked to that aren't working are sleeping later and staying up later. I mean, I'm running usually at 10:30 or 11 versus 9:30 or 10. So yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay, good. Rob, you had a question?
Hey,
Hey,
everybody, thank you. I've got a couple questions.
sure.
This is okay. We were just talking about routine, and I'm always very curious about what everyone else is doing morning of the race. I know I've got a routine which seems to change for every race.
Mm-hmm.
Breakfast is always a little bit different. I have to say I have my best races after food. But I'm just curious, like when you're getting up in the morning and you're preparing for that race, like what are the things that you go through?
Well, it depends on the race, to be honest. Like my half marathon morning will be different than 10K because I'll try to eat more, which means I have to get up a little bit earlier. And for the one marathon that I did, that was also very different. I did 2 practices of how I would do the night before and the morning before. So I had a really big workout that I had to do on a Saturday morning. It was like one of my biggest workouts in the marathon build. So my coach and I decided that I would treat it as if it was the marathon, and I would do everything the day before and the morning of that I would do on race day. So I had a particular pasta dinner, and then I had like hot water with lemon, and I went to bed at a certain time. I think it was like 10. And then we had practice early. I think it was at 9 a.m. And so I got up, I had whatever I had for breakfast, and it was like 7 years ago. I can't remember. It was probably like toast and peanut butter and banana plus a Cliff Bar. I was trying to get in like as much as I could possibly handle, really. Like, and then, we went through what, like the compression socks I was going to wear, like the sports bra I was going to wear, the shorts I was going to wear, so everything, so that when I did it, and if the sports bra didn't work or the socks chafed, the shoes didn't fit, whatever it was, my stomach didn't handle what I ate, we knew it was going to work. Everything worked fine. So I basically repeated that when it came to race day. But for me, the marathon was an unknown. So I didn't know. Now I've raced so many times. I know exactly what works for me and exactly what doesn't work for me. That being said, though, I mean, I have a problem with indigestion that I haven't been able to figure out. And it comes and goes, and I can have the exact same thing, and I have indigestion warming up, and it's really uncomfortable because I'm like burping and I feel awful. And I think it's nerves. We don't know. I've seen a few doctors and stuff, and sometimes I have it with the exact same stuff, and sometimes I don't. So it's generally more for night races when I find, a lot of the times I have to run at like 10 o'clock at night. And I think the last 3 10Ks I did were 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night. And it was just like, it's so hard all day long. You're like, I'm hungry, but I don't want to eat too much because I don't want to cramp up. So I guess I'll have some oatmeal. Did you say you just eat breakfast all day? Literally, it's like
Good.
And then I just I've got the last 3 big races I had indigestion while I was warming up. But as soon as I step on the line, it goes away. So some things I just have to plug my computer. No matter how much you practice, things can go awry, I suppose. But sorry, my computer's going to die. I'm just plugging it in.
No problem.
So I would say, very important to practice your race day food, and never wear a new pair of shoes, never wear a new pair of socks, never wear a new sports bra. You don't want any of those things messing up your race, or you don't want to be dealing with blisters. And even though I say that, I have been guilty of doing these things, which is why I'm telling you not to. So yes. Does that
Rob,
answer your question?
Did you have another question, Rob?
No, I'm good. I think that covered everything. I'm always curious to hear what other people are doing. And I mean, I think we all kind of do the same thing. My problem is I always change it right at the last minute, it seems. So
Yeah. But I can, if you want, I can sort of take you through a typical, like, let's say I'm running a 10,000 or 10K in the morning, like a road race. So I am not, a lot of people really stress about trying to make themselves go to bed early, because races are generally at like 7:30, 8 or 9, right? So you have to get up at like 5 or 5:30. And I usually go to bed at like 11 or 11:30. And so for me to try and fall asleep at 10, to wake up at 5, I know it's impossible. And I'm over trying to force myself to fall asleep. So I generally will just go to bed at 11 or 11:30 when I'm tired. And if I get 5 hours of sleep before a race, I'm happy. That's good. And I can race perfectly fine off that. If I've slept well the night before, I'm fine. So don't let sleep be something that stresses you out. Don't try to force yourself to go to bed 2 hours before you normally would, just because you think you should. You'll be fine off of 5 or 6 hours of sleep. So that's one thing that I do that might be a bit different than other people. So a lot of people have no problem falling asleep early, and I'm like, well, good for you, but that doesn't work for me. And then I lie there and I stress. So yeah, I do. And I get up usually 3 hours before race time, if I can, so I can have coffee, have my peanut butter and toast with banana. That's what I have, one piece of toast with peanut butter and banana. And then I get to the course, and I start my warm up about 50 minutes before the race. I do a 20-minute jog, 20 minutes drills and strides, change into my racing flats, pin my number on, and get to the start line. And if I'm running a half marathon, I have a gel, and I'll have that in my sports bra. And I'll take that at 12K. Never rely on the course to provide you your gels. Bring your own.
Good lesson. It's a good lesson.
It is a very good lesson, because I've done that before, and there was only one gel station, and I missed it. And I was like, well, here goes my gel. Yeah.
You talked before about the one marathon at Scotiabank in 2013. What were some of the takeaways from that hasn't brought you back to a full marathon?
I think, like, why haven't I run another one?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It hasn't really worked with the 10,000. So I was going to run another one in 2014, and I got plantar fasciitis for the whole year. So that sort of wiped that out. Yeah. And then in 2015, I ran the Olympic standard in the 10,000. And so we were like, okay, that's what we're going to concentrate on for the next year. And then after the Olympics, I thought, okay, maybe I'll run another marathon. And then I had surgery on my toe, and in early 2017, I got, a new coach, and Alan and I decided that my body just really couldn't handle the mileage it would need to run a marathon with my toe in the condition that it is. And it would be safer for the next few years to concentrate on what we knew I could do, which was the 10,000, and do that well. And so that's sort of just been what's happened, is we've stuck to the 10,000 because it's just been every year I've run a high performance race, and I've qualified for the next year in that race. So there's never been a time to really need to do one to try and make a team or whatever. Right. And it's always such a high risk to get injured that I just haven't been willing to do it. That being said, I really want to do another marathon. I want to see what I can do. And when the Olympics were postponed, I thought, okay, great, I'm going to do a fall marathon. But now, I don't think there's going to be any fall marathon. So I don't know when I'll do another one. Maybe after Tokyo. I don't know. I'm getting tired. I might retire after Tokyo. We'll see. So, yeah.
So runners like yourself, Melindy Elmore, Krista Duchesne, really redefining the biases around when a runner's peak running ages. What do you think is that secret of really that longevity?
I think all of us have something in common, is that there was a time in our lives where we stopped running, and it hasn't been go, go, go since then, and Lindsay Tessier included.
Yeah.
So like Lindsay didn't come seriously to the sport until she was in her 30s, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Krista Duchesne too, she didn't get serious into the sport until after she had her 3 babies.
Right.
Melindy also took significant amount of time off to have her babies, switch to the triathlon, I think 3 or 4 years where she was off the scene completely. For me, I took 3 years off after university and then have lowered my mileage in the last 3 years to a place where I'm not destroying my body. And I think you can see that theme there is that
Yeah.
they haven't been hammering for their whole lives. And so it's allowed them now to peak. And it's really cool to see. I mean, I hope I can maintain and be, you know, running as fast as Lindsay when I'm 41, 42, which is 2 or 3 years, but 2 or 3 years is still 2 or 3 years. And I don't know how much more, I mean, my body can take. I'm like ibuprofen all the time already.
It's like candy, right?
Seriously. 3 years.
Oh, that's funny. When we spoke to Lanny last week, we asked her, you know, who are her favorite Canadian runners, and right away she mentioned your name. And so it seems like the Canadian elite women running community is a very close-knit group of strong women. Is that true?
We are very close, yes. And I feel very fortunate to be a part of this like little community. And I think most of you follow me on my Instagram, and so you probably see me post with lots of Canadian runners quite often. And Emily Setlak was here in town with the winter, and me and Dana and Emily all got together to do a workout. We all have different coaches, but we did the workout together in preparation for Houston half. And I thought that was really cool that we can come together and work together. And, you know, even though we're competitors, but we're friends as well. And I mean, I went to Dana's wedding, and Lanny and I lived together for a while.
That's right.
We're all really close. Lindsay Tessier is one of my closest and dearest friends. I just love her. So I think all my best friends I've gotten in the running community. And I think that's something that's so special about our sport is, you know, just chatting with different people and different run crews. That's the one thing I've gotten from them as well, is running has given them some of the best people in their lives. And so it's the same with my running community, which just happens to be like the elite women. We're seeing each other all the time. We're rooming together all the time. You become really good friends. When you step on the course, yes, you're competitive, but more than likely you're going to work together until the end and then let the chips fall where they may, which is, you know, what I did with my good friend Sarah English. She's Scottish. We trained together out here, and we ran Houston together, and near the end she fell off a bit, but we were talking and supporting each other throughout the race, and that's really special to have that. And yeah,
Well,
pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Last time we chatted, you kind of, and I really appreciated when you say this, you talked about how, you know, you love to just watch runners. And it doesn't matter if they're coming 5 hours into their marathon to the elites. You just love to just watch runners. What is it about, you know, watching the runners that's, you know, exciting for you as an actual elite runner?
Yeah, like I think we were talking about before is the BMO Vancouver Marathon. Has anyone run that before?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's a great one. You guys should come out and do it. There's a half too. My coach just happens to be the elite athlete coordinator, so I might be putting a plug in here, but whatever. It is really beautiful. It's in May and the weather's always really nice, but they run the half before the marathon. So I'm always done, and then I can watch the people finishing the marathon, and they have a tent set up for the elites and the VIPs in the last 100 meters of the finish line. So I go in there, and there's food, and there's actually wine too. I did have a glass of wine at like 9:30 a.m. I'm not gonna lie. And it was sunny, and I just sat in there for hours and hours and hours and watched everyone come in. And it didn't matter if they were running 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours. Every single person that finished that marathon was experiencing the same thing. Like, it's amazing. Like it was, I thought I was going to cry every 5 minutes just seeing these people coming through like, I did it. And I'm like, yes, you did. Like, and it doesn't matter if you're running it as an elite. It's the same feeling. You've done the training, you have accomplished it. You've come out and you're crossing that finish line. And it's a really cool thing. And it's exciting. I don't know. I just love running, and I love seeing people that they put their mind to it. They've trained their butts off, sacrificed Sunday morning for Lord knows how long to go out there and put the miles in. And I know that they've done that work. And so for them to watch them finish and know what it means, and I don't even know maybe their health concerns or their personal problems that they may have, and they've done that's the thing. It's a huge accomplishment to do a marathon, and I love watching people finish. It's pretty awesome.
As runners, we always hope to have a very supportive group around us, not just other runners, but including our family, to watch us at the finish line, wait for us there. How supportive has Alan been for you?
Alan Bolt. He's the best. He's cleaning the backyard up or something.
Still in the backyard, eh?
I don't know. He's still in the backyard. He didn't even come in the house. I don't know. He bought these roses and this thing, and he still has to plant them. I don't know. Anyway, so, there he is. Now he's inside. Okay, so yes, Alan has, been a big supporter of mine always. He comes to the track with me, and we'll do bits and pieces of my workout, whatever he can handle. So yesterday I had 1,000, 800, 600, 400 times 2.
Yeah.
And he was just doing 400 here and 200 there just to help pull me along. And that to me is that's how he'll spend his Tuesday night when he finishes his work day. I mean, that just speaks volumes about him to come and do that with me. And he'll come to bits and pieces of my training camp to support me. He's been to all my big races. He's just been amazing, and I'm very fortunate that he supports me the way that he does and really believes in what I'm doing, and which is really cool. Yeah.
Plus, if you got leg pain, he's right there to help you.
Yes, exactly. But I think he asks me for foot rubs more than I ask him. So.
You got to balance that out a little bit, okay?
I'm just here's the hypervolt.
Diane, you had a question?
So what do you want to do after you retire, Natasha? Because the way you're talking actually makes me think you're a race director.
You know what? I'm very lucky that I have Lynn Kanuka as my mentor. And so I do feel like she will help me transition when I'm done, whether that is I'll be the next elite athlete coordinator and I'll take her spot. I will definitely be involved with running. I'd like to coach. I would like to be a high performance coach. I'd like to coach at the elite, become Olympian. That's really what I'd love to do. So I just started taking some coaching courses, and I'm getting ready. And I feel like that's my next calling. So yeah.
Who inspires you to push your limits?
Probably Lynn. I mean, I actually messaged her today and said, "Happy Global Run Day, and you're my #1 inspiration," which is true. If you guys know anything about my coach, I mean, she got a bronze medal in the 1986 Olympics.
Yeah.
In the 3000, and she's just, she's done it all, and she's been through it all, and she's competed at a high level, and she's now I'm her only high performance athlete that she's coaching, and she's all in, and she's always there for me. And no matter what's going on, she's positive and energetic and encouraging. And, every time I see her, she's, "Good morning. Are we ready to work out?" And it's inspiring every day to be around someone that, this is always this infectious energy. And I know what she accomplished back in her day, and I want to be able to accomplish, some of the same things that she did. Yeah.
Can I just ask, well, how was it being in the Olympics?
Well, how was it being in the Olympics? Well, there's a lot of parts to the Olympics.
True. The experience, the overall experience.
The overall experience of being at the Olympics was pretty surreal. It never, you're there and you're in the village but it's not like what you see on TV, right? When you're watching the Olympics on TV, you're getting someone commentating and talking about what's going on. When you're there, you're it's sort of almost just another track meet, because it was weird in Rio because the stands were a quarter full for my race, which was really unfortunate. So you weren't sort of getting that same vibe, but it was still really cool. It was really cool going into the dining hall, and you're just constantly seeing like the world's best athletes. You're like, oh, there's that gymnast, or like there's that volleyball player. So that was my favorite thing to do, is like to go to the dining hall, because we would always see so many people from different countries. And yeah, we got to like, it was just after I was done, that was when I really got to enjoy the Olympic experience and go to Canada House with my parents. And Canada House is exactly what you see on TV. It's just awesome. And it's unlimited beer and wine. They do a family style dinner, big screens up of all the sports, and anyone that competed that day, you would get a shout out. So they would show highlights of what your race or highlights you did, and you'd walk up and everyone would cheer for you. It was the best. And it's only family and friends. So it's only Canadian family and friends. So you're there with everybody else's mom and dad, and you get to meet, you know, all the people who got the gold medals, and you get to talk to them and their parents. And it was probably my favorite part was Canada House with my parents. It's cool.
And you said before the Olympics are still on your radar.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, good. I wanted to give you a chance to talk about mycanfund.ca and how you're one of the 150 women recipients of the year.
Sure. Alan, you want to come say hi?
Hi.
Alan Bolt says hi.
Hey,
Everybody.
Alan, how are you? Headed to the backyard again.
You know what? The Can Fund recipient was a huge surprise. I was doing a chat with them, and they told me in the middle of it that I was a recipient, and which is amazing. I mean, they are solely on donations from people, and I feel very fortunate that I'm a recipient and able to use this money to help me train without having to get a secondary job. And so it's a really cool thing that they do, and I'm very fortunate. And if you saw my post, you could see how much it helped me in 2016 when I was serving at a really busy restaurant, 6 to 8 hours on my feet, because I wasn't getting funding from anywhere else. And bottom line is I needed to pay my rent and put food on the table. So that's what I had to do. And then they came in and they gave me $6,000, and that was huge, right? It was really huge. And it allowed me for a few months to not have to work and to just train. And that was such a gift before Rio. Yeah.
Okay, so that website is www.mycanfund.ca, correct?
That's right. Yeah. And when I'm done competing, I will definitely be donating back to the program when I'm able to. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so it's time for our Ask Natasha Zoom questions, just real quick questions, and then you can just fire away, all right? So you ready?
Ready.
Favorite shoe and color?
Running shoe?
Yeah, and color.
I like the Nike Pegasus Turbo, and in pink.
You wore that at Houston, right?
No, I wore the Nike Next in
Nike,
Houston.
okay.
But I love the Turbo's a great shoe for like tempo runs and things like that. You can even do everyday training in it. It's super light. I love it. Not the new model, the old model.
The old model.
Yeah.
Are you binge watching anything right now?
No.
Well, you're one of the few people I know that's not binge watching anything then.
Well, we've been on a kick of watching older movies, not older, but movies from the 90s. Mm-hmm. So last night we watched Sabrina with Julia Ormond and Harrison Ford.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been watching some of the older ones with like Edward Norton, what's his face? Harrison Ford's in a lot of them too. Lots of old rom-coms. It's been nice, like just light. So,
nothing serious, right?
Yeah.
Favorite wine?
Richard Gere's been in a lot of these older movies too. He's great. Sorry.
That's okay. Favorite wine, red or white?
White.
Favorite holiday of the year and why?
Christmas.
Why?
I just love, getting together with family, and my birthday's the week before, so it always feels very like it's just a nice time of the year, and you get to wear your sweaters and everyone's giving gifts, and it's okay to drink wine and eat chocolate every night, and it's just nice. I just love Christmas.
So what's Natasha Wodak's signature dance move?
Oh man, I'm a terrible dancer, really terrible. I would say I just do like a hip thrust sort of thing. Looks awful. Yeah, that's about it.
So you had lots of time to bake. What's your favorite thing to be baking right now?
Um, you know what? I baked banana bread yesterday and it was very average, actually. So I am making a Black Forest cake for my dad tomorrow for his birthday. And
Yes.
that's going to be a very big venture. I've never made one from scratch before, so I'm a little nervous, but if it turns out well, I shall post it. Yes.
Definitely, definitely. Is that his favorite cake?
I would say cakes are the things I've been making.
Yeah.
And yeah, Black Forest cake. So it's like cherry and chocolate with fresh whipped cream.
Nice, nice. What is a mantra that you live by?
I have several.
Okay.
I always in my running is yes you can, and I repeat that in my head when I'm having a hard time in practice all the time doing hills. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dying today. Yes you can, yes you can. Sometimes it actually comes out of my mouth and I'm just whatever, it helps me. So I'd say that's my mantra in running. If I'm ever feeling sad or going through a rough patch, this too shall pass.
Yeah.
And I've stuck with that for a very long time. I wrote a blog back in the day. I had a blog in 2013, 2014 called Life in the Tash Lane. You can always go back and read some of them. It's pretty depressing because I was going through a divorce, but it was very therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
And I wrote a lot of blogs that people have actually come back and said have been helpful for them. So I think vulnerability, is the key to connecting with people. And so I'm glad that I still have them out there. But yeah, this too shall pass is a good one because like in this time, we know this will pass. The pandemic will pass. We will get back to normal life and things will go on. It's just hard in the moment to see that. So.
Well, okay, good. What Hollywood actress would you want to play Natasha Wodak?
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, that was very easy, eh? Very good. Actually, you know what? I can see it.
I've been told before, like back when I was younger, that people used to think I looked a little bit like Angelina Jolie. I never saw it ever, but I got it like when I was serving, like once a month. Someone would say that, and I'm like, I don't see it, and at all. And that was like 10 years ago, so I was younger looking. And I got Scarlett Johansson once, and I was like, thank you.
Yeah, I could totally see that. One person you greatly admire in the running community.
Oh, wow. There's so many. That's such a tough.
All right, give me top three.
I'm going to go with Evan Dunphy for one. I feel like he's an ambassador for fair sport, and he's not afraid to speak out about what is wrong. And so many people are always trying to be politically correct.
Right.
And Evan will stand up for what's right, and he is incredibly loyal. And so I really admire Evan, and that he's willing to go to bat for you, and he's willing to stand up for sport and fair sport. So I admire Evan very much, and he's also an extremely talented athlete. If you've ever tried to race walk for more than a minute, it is very hard. It is very hard. So he does it for 50K, and it's very impressive. So
wow.
I also, I admire Melinda Elmore and her ability to come back in the sport and run the marathon in a Canadian record time and do it. So she was just so humble and just so like, I'm going to get it done. No fuss, no, big talk. She just went out and got it done. And then afterwards, okay, it's time to go home to my kids. And like, just, that right after she got on a plane, right after, like, I'm like, well, you literally just finished like 2 hours ago. And she was going, I was like, good Lord.
Wow.
Like, wine?
And so last question, what's up next for you?
Like I said, I'm doing that 5,000 meter time trial at the end of June, hoping to run under 15:29. We'll see. So that's it. It's hard to make any real plans because we don't know what's even happening in the fall.
Yeah.
But we do have a little mini vacation planned here in BC. We're going to go up to the Okanagan for a week.
Cool.
That's our wine country. I don't know if you guys have anyone here been in the Okanagan?
Yep.
Yes. It's so beautiful. There's like over 300 wineries within 2 hours of each other. And there's some of the most beautiful places to run. So I'll be able to go and run with Melindy, which will be nice.
That's good.
And yeah, there's golfing for Alan. And there's beautiful lakes. And it's nice and warm up there.
Yeah.
So really nice. I'm looking forward to that. And I'll be taking some time off during that week. I think it's very important to make sure that even in this time, we're still taking time off as you normally would.
Right.
Rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul with wine.
Yes, that's for sure. Well, Natasha, thank you again for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions and talk to us about the things that you've gone through and the things that you've done in the past. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Natasha. Take care.
Good luck,
Thank you, everybody, for joining us
Thank you.
tonight.
Bye.
Bye.